activity that I'd really like to focus on, though, is hands down one of my favorites and our most popular feature across all our titles. And that's going to be our learning curve adaptive quizzing. Now, this relates back to that idea I mentioned on our best practices slide of low stakes quizzing. This isn't something that's going to be, a good overall final exam, but it does allow students practice at understanding the chapter content. And it also encourages students to actually do their readings, which is huge. It's hard enough getting face-to-face students to do their readings, let alone when they're online and you don't really have as much control over them. Learning curve really can help with that. Now, it's what we call our adaptive quiz because every student receives a slightly different quizzing experience depending on their understanding of the chapter content. Rather than a traditional quiz where there's, let's say, 20 questions, you get X amount wrong, you get X amount right, that's kind of the end of it. Maybe a student gets a 70 on it and they go, well, I technically passed, that's good enough for me. With Learning Curve, students keep answering questions until they reach a target score, which for this particular chapter is 300 points. And Learning Curve counts as an all or nothing. If they reach that target score by the due date, they receive full credit 100%. If they fail to reach the target score by the due date, it goes into the gradebook as a 0. And so that adds to students' motivation for taking this seriously. When you're faced with that all or nothing, that black or white, no gray area, you're really going to want to take this seriously and actually work through the quiz and do your best to get the questions right. The main reason we call this adaptive, though, can be seen by looking at these topic performance details. Let's say that students do an individual student does a really great job on the questions regarding the college experience. The system will eventually stop giving them as many questions in that area as they've shown mastery over that topic. But if they struggle with the questions on purpose, goals, and choices, the system will give them more questions in that area so they can spend more time with that content that they're not as familiar with. Let's take a look at this in action real quick. I'm going to come in and click Preview as a student. You're, of course, welcome to do this as well. And I'll go ahead and begin the activity. Now, here's my question right in the middle of the screen. I can see that this question is currently worth 15 points. I've got a little bar here tracking my progress towards that 300 points. It makes it kind of like a video game for students. And let me take a second to see if I can answer this question. Oh, goodness. Let's go with this. Okay, got it right. So when a student gets a question right, they're told, great job. They see how many points they get. And this is probably the best part. They receive immediate feedback as to why that was the correct answer, reinforcing what they just worked through. I'm going to go to the next question. Here I've got another 15-point question. Eventually, these questions are going to get harder and they're going to become worth more points. I want to take a second to get this question wrong, though, so you can see what happens when I do that. So when I get a question wrong, I'm told try again. They're given an explanation as to why that was not the correct answer. And notice I get another attempt at selecting an answer, but my question is now only worth 5 points instead of that initial 15. So technically with Learning Curve, if anyone answers enough questions, they will pass the test. They just pass it a little bit faster if they've actually done their readings and understand the chapter content. Now, if a student needs any help on a question, we do have some options down at the bottom here. The first of which is to read the ebook page on this topic. And if they click on that, it will pull up where in the ebook that particular topic is discussed. It's not going to spoon feed them the answer, but point them to where they can read up more on that topic. Again, getting back to how it encourages students to read. There's the Get a Hint feature, which gives students a little prompt towards the right direction. But notice I lost a couple more points here. I can now only get 3 points for this question. Or if a student is just absolutely stumped, they can click Show Answer. And that's going to tell them what the correct answer is, but they didn't receive any points for this question. And so, if a student tries to game the system and just click show answer over and over again, they are never going to reach that target score. And quite frankly, the test bank that these come from is rather large. So it's going to take students a long time if they wanted to go through, get all the answers, and then go back and try and answer again. It's to their benefit. They'll work through it more quickly if they actually just spend time, legitimately reading and answering questions. Students can take a break at any point throughout, and it will save their progress. And they can always see their study plan as to what topics they're doing well on and what areas need a little bit of improvement on. Obviously, that question we got wrong was this purpose, goals, and choices. So that's why it's not registering anything here.